Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. So lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. But first off, a little bit of admin. Let's all take a moment to pray for those who are suffering from COVID-19, the fruits of Dr. Fauci, or as we call him here, Dr. Death. In particular, please pray for Marlena, who is in her third day of combating this deadly virus. She is on a course of ivermectin. Marlena thanks all those who have sent her messages of support. They are greatly appreciated. Later tonight, I will be uploading a video which has a chilling message about the role of artificial intelligence, or AI, and how it is going to play out in our future. Tonight I talked to Leon Kukumor. His story has never been told. Of course, the mainstream media won't touch it. In summary, in January 2017, Leon, who is an activist, was charged by the CATS, or Crimes Against the State unit of the Hawks. He was falsely accused and charged under the Terrorism Act. His bail was also denied because of these charges, and he was detained under false charges. In short, the Hawks tried very hard to frame him under the Terrorism Act. There were 12 charges against Leon. 6 of them were Schedule 6 charges, of which, if he had been found guilty in any of these charges, he would have been sentenced from 15 years to life behind bars. In the end of last year, Leon was found innocent on all charges against him after spending almost 4 years innocently in jail. Leon is currently taking a legal action against the South African government and its police service, and he is claiming 69.8 million rand for false charges and illegal detention. Please remember to subscribe to Loving Life on YouTube and register on lovinglife.com for the new platform we are transitioning to. I'll get Leon and Marius Harding on. Now, Marius is joining us to give his friend Leon moral support. Here we go.
Hi, Scott. Uh, okay.
Just waiting for your
Just
camera
hold
to
on.
kick in.
Yeah. Is it on your side?
There it is. Perfect.
Yes. That's it.
Excellent. Look, I'll just get Marius on, and then we'll
Okay.
start our chat. Okay, it won't be a second.
100%.
Okay, he's on his way. While we're waiting for Marius, please tell us a bit about your background growing up in South Africa, and just how you've experienced South Africa and its changes over the last, well, through your life.
Well, Scott, I grew up mostly in Arcadia. It's not the same anymore, but I went to high school, Wagos in Brits, technical and farmer community. So after that, I did my military service. I became an officer, Oudtshoorn Infantry School. I did service at 3-2 Battalion, and basically, after that time, I became involved with our political side of our people. It was in the 90s. We were on the verge of, or not we, the government was on the verge of handing over power to the ANC. So it was a very unstable political time at that time.
Right.
But I became an activist for our people and the freedom of our people from around about the 90s.
Right. Okay. Now, Marius, thank you for joining us.
Hello, Scott. Hello, Leon, listeners.
I'll say, evening, Marius.
Marius, of course, is a well-known face on Loving Life. He's often on live streams here. Now, okay, so Marius, when you want to ask Leon a question, please just jump in, okay, at any time.
100%.
Okay. Now,
Scott.
Now, Leon, Leon, tell me what actually happened when you suddenly got the call or they came around to your house. What was the motivation for them to arrest you and charge you? Can you just go into the background of that?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short. Basically, what happened is at the time when Ter Blanche was killed, after that, we had a meeting at the Stichter Nasionale Partij's grounds at the Willie Marais Center on the Thursday after the weekend he was killed. So we had the meeting. It was three groups basically there: the AWB and the Commando Corps of Franz Jooste, and I think the Zuidlanders were there. But the people were charged up because of his death. So I also spoke on that day, and special assignment were there. That's the first day, night after his murder. On the Saturday morning, I was attacked in my at the farm where I was staying in Uitgedacht. Four assailants came, black assailants. We were attacked. They shouted, "Viva Malema, Daya Mlungu." But unfortunately for them, we shot one and I hit another one of the axe at that time, and I felt later that he died about it because of it. But the problem was because of the racial thing that they outed of Malema. Malema has in public stated, kill the boer, kill the farmer, and they shouted that morning, "Viva Malema, Daya Mlungu." So it was something that I knew that we can prove that farm attacks is not criminal wise. It's political motivated. So they asked me to testify in the AfriForum TLE case against Malema, the racial thing. Unfortunately, the first time I was confronted by the Hawks was when I was on the list to testify against Malema. Hawks arrested me silently in Springs, kept me also under the Terrorism Act, for 4 days without or denying my access to a lawyer, medical care, and so forth. That was the
Now hang
start
on.
of.
Leon,
Yes.
I just want to interrupt you at this point in time.
Mhm.
You say that you were going to be talking at an event organized by AfriForum. Is that correct, or was this actually a court case you're going to be talking at?
And yeah, what happens is that they opened a case against Malema. At that stage, he was the youth leader of the ANC.
Right.
Uh, to to testify in the case of hate speech at that time against Malema. And as I said, then the first time I was arrested by the Hawk unit, CATS, Crimes Against the State unit. At that stage,
But hang on.
in that case,
Can I
yes,
just get the timeline right? So the timeline was that you were going to be talking in a court case against Julius Malema, a court case
that's
that
correct.
AfriForum had organized. Now, after it was known that you were going to be actually participating in this court case, all of a sudden you get a visit by CATS, who are this crimes against the state special section
Yes,
of the Hawks, who say, hey, you know, you're a terrorist. And this is
yes,
after you are about to now actually go into court to testify against Julius Malema. Okay, please carry on. I just
that's
wanted to get
correct.
that sequence right. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I just want to get the facts straight, Scott. This was in 2010. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This matter, this case, I was in jail for now 4 years almost innocently. It's the second case I have
Yeah,
with
that's
the Hawk.
2017. Let's talk
That's
about the 2010 case first.
okay.
So the Hawks visited you. What happened?
Well, basically, they also charged me with illegal firearm, ammunition, espionage. I don't know, there's no such law in South Africa, but I was clearly intimidated by them at that stage. Uh, as I say, that case, they couldn't get me in jail in that case as well. So they were quite upset. And then um, at this case, they were looking for an opportunity um, to again arrest me and so on.
So what we're saying is in 2010, their attempt to actually put you behind bars on fabricated charges failed, and they had to let you go. But clearly, they had you in their sights after what happened back in 2010.
That's correct, but I must just add that I wasn't found innocent in that case. Unfortunately, as the same as this case, they, I was basically, how can I say, I got a suspended sentence on an illegal firearm at that stage.
Right. Now, Marius, is there something you'd like to ask Leon at this stage?
Yeah, Scott, I first just want to fill in the viewers on how this works actually, because a lot of people might not have the right perspective, and that is that any country in the world have an intelligence service to make sure there's nothing planned against the state or whatever as far as they can. Now, in South Africa, we have a police service, which is, we all know, fairly corrupt. And viewers can look at a newspaper article written by Pete Rampidi a number of years ago, which states that the Oaks who's investigating right-wingers, white right-wingers, have a slush fund of 600 million a year, which obvious they need to do. We all know they steal from this money because you have a handler, which is a police officer, and then you have people who is reporting to him, which is civilians, which he's paying to get information from. Now, this is only this person, let's say Pete Poffenpoel, is number 356. So nobody else than his handler knows his identity. And nobody knows actually how much money this person received. So this cops hang out at the stripper clubs and all of these places. We know them by name, and we know more about them than they know about us. But nevertheless, this is corrupt officials, and now they need to tell the ministry that, listen, we need to have this budget because there's real terrorists out there which is on the brink of taking the government out. And this is where cases like Leon's come about, because we all know, which is actively in the right-wing community in South Africa, that there's nothing happening. You know, we battle to get a sing-along together. Where in the world will we take over the government? But they need to convince their superiors that there's a real threat. And otherwise, their budget will be cut. If their budget is cut, they cannot steal any more the government's money, or not the government's money, our taxpayers' money. So one needs to see this perspective, why they charge people like Leon with a number of bogus cases, which they couldn't prove. They didn't have a snowball's hope in hell to prove us against. I was personally at least 60% of Leon's case in his court, and sometimes I needed to walk out of court to laugh outside. Things like a person with the surname Els, which they flew in at a great expense, testified that Leon had acetone in his possession, and the magistrate actually asked, you know, should I let my handbag be ransacked because I don't know if it's illegal, but I have acetone in my handbag. And then I needed to step down from trying to create the impression to the magistrate that Leon is busy planning to overthrow the state because he had acetone. You know, now that's just one tiny portion of the case, but things like HTH, they found some HTH in Leon's possession, and then this person testified for half a day on the different ways you can make a bomb with HTH. And subsequently, the judge asked him if it's illegal to have HTH in your possession. He said no. And, you know, things like that. So viewers must take in consideration how bad things is, and it's because there's money involved. So we all need to know that when we heard about arrests, like in Leon's case, a number of right-wing organizations immediately turned their back. Even Leon's close allies turned their back against him. Leon can answer himself. Me and Piet Rudolph and Kufu Diman was the people from different organizations which visited Leon, carrying him through the whole ordeal, supported him at court, but most of the oaks just turned against him because of what the press said. Now, Leon, please just tell the viewers, what was the charges against you, please?
Is this 2010 or 2017?
No, 2017.
Okay, so we're moving on
That's
to the
correct.
2017 case. Okay, go ahead, Leon.
Thank you, Scott. Yes, there was eventually 12 charges laid against me. Some of them are lesser charges. The first charge was intimidation, for which I could get a sentence of 10 years. Then the second charge was the manufacture of explosives. Now, just for the viewers to understand, they charged me on chemicals that I had, as Marius just stated.
Now,
not explosives.
what is HTH used for?
For a swimming pool, to clean your swimming pool.
Oh, you have a swimming pool?
Yes, I did have a swimming pool.
So the pool cleaner is now being
yes
used as one of the charges against you.
As explosives.
Oh,
not. That's one of the things. I had a small bag of 5 kilogram fertilizer, which I used in my garden.
Yeah.
That was also placed on a list of things that I had as explosives.
So
Now,
let me ask you this question, Leon.
Yes,
Should anyone who's
yes.
got a swimming pool in South Africa who has HTH in their garage to use to clean the pool, should they be worried that they'll be called up by this Hawks subsidiary and taken up for terrorism charges for having explosive equipment?
Well, Scott, it was exactly what the judge asked him. As Maria stated, if she had acetone in possession, is it now illegal?
That's crazy.
My advocate asked him in court. He said he'll be scared to go to the hardware shop just to buy a few things and put it in his boot of his car, because now the state wants to state that certain chemicals can be used to make explosives, but they charged me not on the chemicals. They said I had explosives. So the first charges that I had was the manufacture of explosives, possession of explosives, illegal storage of explosives.
Did you have any explosives?
Well, the forensics lady testified in court. I'm not going to name names in this interview, but the explosive lady, she went through the list of chemicals I had in my possession. And she said on this chart or on the docket, it says that this chemical can be used to make
but you
explosives.
didn't have compiled explosives. That's my point. You didn't.
No,
they actually said you had explosives, but you did not have explosives.
That's correct.
Okay,
and,
that's okay. So in other words, they're talking crap.
Yes, of course.
Okay, all right. Now, okay. In South Africa, do you believe that the ANC government's internal security forces abide by the international law regarding human rights? Leon?
Scott, you see, Scott, I'm sure that they've signed all these human rights agreements with people in the world, but they don't say no. They don't abide by the international human rights.
You were put behind bars for 4 years. Let me just remind the audience who are watching. We've got 300 people watching at the moment. You were put behind bars for 4 years for basically having HTH to clean your pool, which the Hawks said, but this could be used to make explosives. And because of that, you were taken aside for terrorism. That is absolutely ridiculous. Marius, please add to this. What would you like to say?
No, Leon had a cracker, this cracker which the people...
A firecracker.
A firecracker, that's the correct word, with a couple of nails around it and some tape. Now, in court, they testified like a day and a half long about the seriousness of this explosive device. At the end of this testimony, the judge asked the specialists from the police, will this thing kill a person? Remember, they portraying Leon as going to take over the entire South African government. Okay.
Yeah.
And the judge asked this specialist, will this thing be able to kill a person? And the person who testified was like, not really, but it's possible. And eventually the judge lead this witness to actually tell how dangerous it is. And in the end, the testimony was like, if the guy put his head right across it, there will be a possibility that he can die of it.
Well, if you
Now,
swallowed a firecracker, there was a light, there's a good chance you'll die of it. But I mean, it doesn't have to be a big firecracker in that event.
yes, but the point I'm making is, if you have listened to the testimony, you would have thought he got a real bag of explosives which can take down the Union buildings. Remember, they talking about a guy who's going to buy his own, like Rambo, taking over by a gun. And then you come to the end of the testimony, and they say it will kill a person if he puts his head right against it. And then they actually testified further that they actually battled to set this off. But look, the point remains with what we have experienced in this is that they denied Leon bail based on the fact that he's very dangerous and they have a very good case against him. 4 years later, he haven't been found guilty in a court on one single case, not intimidation, not one of the 12 accusations against him stood in court. And in the
they were cherry picking. They were just cherry picking. That's all they were doing.
That basically can happen with anybody which is opposing the state, because of the scenario I've already told, that this people is on the hunt for anything they can find. And that's why I always say to people, we shouldn't be afraid of this. We should just do our thing like we do it, but don't ever make statements like you will overthrow the government and things like that. Stay away from that, but don't be afraid. Even if this is the most unfair system we have, and we have Leon here live to tell us how bad it is in jail, nobody's going to get freedom without a fight. So keep your nose clean, but don't back off because they try to intimidate us, because this is just intimidation.
Yeah.
And they kicked me and Pete out of court, laughable, because they said we are intimidating the police officers who testify. Now, Rudolph,
you're intimidating the police officers.
Yes. Now, I must admit I did intimidate this colonel or whatever he is, because when he looked at me, I blinked my eye. So, then he was so afraid that he ran to the judge and say, I'm sitting in court, and intimidate him. So I must admit I did, but I didn't view it as intimidation at that stage. But yes, it's laughable, because if a senior officer of crime intelligence is intimidated by, at that stage I was quite sick, and when Pete was 83, he could hardly walk, and they must testify that we are actually intimidating them. My view on that is, and I stated it in their presence, that I think we don't have a police force if they are intimidated by that kind of thing. So, back to reality. We must know that without having a good force behind us, my plea to people were, at the time Leon was in jail, I said, please, just contribute something. Just put in $50. I don't have smokes in there. I think in total, we gathered about, let's say, 2,500 Rand or whatever. I don't have the books in front of me to call the exact amount, but it was very sad that when Pete Rudolph actually took from his pension money to just keep the boat afloat, that Leon can have smokes. And I was battling at the time. There was times which we really didn't have fuel. You actually drove and get to Leon, and we just make it with a light burning. And the rest of the people who want freedom is not there, not even a cent to contribute. And if you talk to them, they say, yes, but check what has Leon done. And you say, do you really believe what the press say? You really believe what the police say? Then you know, fighter. And
yeah, I just want to pick up on the press because Leon mentioned this earlier. And I think the thing that disturbs me is that we know that the mainstream media in South Africa are fake news. We know that. I mean, that's a fact. And for the other right-wing groups to just basically carte blanche accept what the media is saying and then distance themselves from Leon Kokomo doesn't say much about these guys having any balls. It sounds like they're a gutless bunch of people and they should stand up and support someone like Leon. Now, Leon, do you have any comment to make about the role of the mainstream media in your incarceration?
Yes, Scott, I do. I think the South African media, and maybe, let's speak about the South African media, is totally under the control of the government. They are too scared to bring out the truth. If they bring out the truth against the government, it's in such a small matter that some things are just not recorded or sent out by the mainstream media in South Africa. As I just quickly will go back to the 2010 attack on me, where I could prove that farm murders were political motivated and criminal motivated. On that morning, the Sandra de Lange of the SABC were there with a cameraman.
So they were waiting for these hawks to arrive to arrest you. They knew it was happening.
No. It was that morning after the farm attack.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So that morning, first off, the police tried to keep the media out of the farm. I told them they have no right. They can protect the crime scene, but not the whole farm. So I had an interview with Sandra de Lange and the cameraman on the issue that they've shouted, Viva Malema, Daya Mlungu. And that afternoon, she phoned me and said that they're not allowed to put it on in the news because it will intense the racial tensions in South Africa. So we do have a media that's blocked. In my case now, in the 2017 case, Marius will also testify. There was a few media newspaper things that came out totally on the police's side or on the Hawks' side. Okay? They, although Marius and me and some other people send them the facts and say, put in the media my side of the story, or they could even have spoken to my advocate, Nico Robenheimer, and he could have placed my point of the case. But they totally just put one-sided media in favor of the Hawks. And now that I've found innocent, there is not a word spoken in the media. Nothing.
Well, look, I know exactly where you're coming from because I faced a political arrest back in 1999. And the mainstream media did exactly the same thing here in Australia. They were targeting me. They were calling me a racist and da-da-da-da-da. And when I sent in my right of reply, they just ignored it. You know, if it doesn't suit the narrative, they just don't touch it. So, you know, what people have got to understand is that what you read in the newspaper is not news. It's distorted propaganda. That's what it is, quite simply, because they don't give both sides of the story.
Exactly. Now, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, carry on, Maurice.
What we need to understand is, Leon, you're not correct in saying the media belongs to the state. That's or is influenced by the state. The real fact is that the people who handles the state also handles the media.
Yeah.
So you will find if the government doesn't do what pleases them, they will use that same media against the government. But in all right-wing cases, it doesn't suit their narrative. So it's not really that the state have the influence on the media, but the poppenmeesters, the oaks behind the scenes, is
Who pulls the
actually
strings?
owning the media. But that is changing, and that is why we're supporting Loving Life, and that is why people tell their friends and family, listen, look at Loving Life. It's an alternative station. It's clean as a whistle. There's no big money behind it. And this is the type of stations we need to actively promote, because you cannot believe if you switch on a TV. Luckily, I don't have one. I never had a TV. I don't read the government newspapers or the mainstream media newspapers. I don't read it. But we all should push that people more support stations like yours, and actually buy some viewers time in terms of ads or whatever, to make it more feasible, and break away from what we know our enemies use against us.
Right. Now, look, I just want to tell people information that I know about three of the very big media houses in South Africa. Daily Maverick and Mail and Guardian are both funded heavily by the Open Society Foundation. And you can find that information by just going to the Open Society Foundation's own annual report and have a look at the financials. And you'll see there that they pay a huge amount of money to what appear to be independent media. Now, clearly, they're not doing that just because they're being, charitable. They're doing that for influence over those two newspapers or online newspapers. And then if we look at what was the other one? Yeah, News 24. News 24 is part of a much bigger media outlet, which is controlled overseas by one of these big organizations that control CNN and stuff like that. So they get their instructions. The editor is just the yes man to someone from overseas, and he can only publish what they tell him to publish. This is how controlled the mainstream media are. This is why, as Marius says, we need alternative media, because we aren't controlled by anyone. We just look at the moral issue and we just hit it head on. That's the way we operate. And if the mainstream media don't like it, well, they know where they can stick it. They can stick it in a place where the sun don't shine. Now, okay, let's continue. Now, Leon, you gave us a few of the charges, trumped-up charges that the Hawks put up against you. Do you want to go through the other charges, because we haven't actually looked at those? Just go through the other charges.
You see, on the other charges is conspired to commit terrorism, offered offences associated with terrorism, conspired to commit offences with explosives, and some terrorism acts that was involved, and then conspired to commit murder, which they falsely accused me of planning out of jail, or phoning out of jail, to for members of the Hawks to be killed by pipe bombs. But it's a lot of crap. It was set up by an informant who made a false statement under the influence of the Hawks.
Now, did any of these guys who made these false statements get taken to court for, basically compromising the efficacy of the court system?
No, no.
So they're allowed to
Even
basically say whatever they wanted. It's all trumped up in their affidavits, and no one ever does anything about it.
no, you see, they clearly protected by these people from, even if I make a case against them, the docket will just disappear. Scott, it's you see, all their informants and people who's doing their jobs and things are under the protection of the police and this unit cats in crimes of the state. So they will protect their informants and things. You can open a case, but nothing will come of it because the docket will just disappear.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, look, I want to just give people who are listening an example of what we're talking about here. We all heard about the Coffin Two, the two young white men who were put behind bars for years on fabricated charges, fabricated evidence put forward by the public prosecutor, which the magistrate had no option but to accept as truth, even though that they didn't make sense, which is where when the two went out on appeal, they were immediately released because the appeal court said this is a load of bullshit. They did nothing wrong. Now, the thing that disturbs me is that in Piet Retief, those 4 white farmers who are basically, arrested for killing the 2 black brothers on their farm.
Yes.
The same public prosecutor who fabricated the evidence at the Coffin 2 case is now the public prosecutor against these 4 white guys. And once again, the evidence was clearly shown as fabricated to try and make sure that they went to jail. This is it doesn't stop there. This is a tragedy. There are magistrates and there are judges in South Africa that you can buy off to get out of being charged.
Yes,
yes. It goes right through the whole system.
No, the whole system. I've heard stories. I actually knew people who's robbing people outside who just pays off the prosecutor 15,000 rand, and the case was dropped out. A week later, they're back for robbery. The same thing. They just keep on buying them off. But what I can say, Scott, is that I think it's possible to buy off prosecutors and things. But at least I think the judges is trying to keep the system going.
There are some very good judges out there. I absolutely get it.
Yes,
there's some very good magistrates. There's some very good public prosecutors. But unfortunately, like with the South African Police Service, once you start getting people who are corrupt doing the sort of job that you do, it's like a cancer. It impacts everyone in that profession, because immediately people look at you sideways because there are other people doing the same job as you who are taking bribes. This is a problem. It impacts the whole industry.
Yes, no, for sure. I think if the legal system falls, we're in big trouble, Scott. But what I can say is that on the side of the prosecutors and the police, I believe that the South African police, and especially this hawk units and the crime against the state units, think they themselves are above the law. And clearly, some of them don't even know the law.
Yeah.
So I think the police system is corrupt to the core. I think so. I believe it totally.
Yeah. Now, just talking about the system. Sorry, Marius, is there something you'd like to add?
Yes, I just want to add the point that one must look who appoints the chief of justice, and that is the state. And so it's not let's say a position which is not
doesn't have political influence.
Yes, there's political influence because all the younger judges is running up to be appointed more senior positions, and that is politically based appointment. So, like a senior advocate is runner up for a magistrate or a judge, and if he's the wrong skin color and doesn't support the right party, he doesn't have a chance of being appointed. So it's not. It is true that we still have a number of judges which is not influenced, like the judge which heard Leon's case. I found her to be fair, but if you look at other things like the Boeramag, I would like you to interview some of the Boeramag oaks. I can organize that. But I was also in that court for many hours, and I was almost bursting out in tears when they found a guy, Michiel Burger, guilty. And Judge Eben Jordan, which was the judge hearing the Boeramag case, stated it might be a lot of hearsay, but all this hearsay is in the same direction. Now, to find a guy guilty on hearsay, just because of all the bullshit is in the same direction, is laughable. And if one think he was found guilty on treason, which is in any country almost the highest offense you can commit, then one realized that I dispute that judge's verdict, just because in his verdict he stated that he found the specific guy guilty on mostly based on hearsay. And if one take Michiel Burger's case, the black chief of the army at the stage testified in favor of Michiel Burger, which was a senior military guy. So he had a very solid witness for him, and very jittery testimonies against him. And the judge chose not to honor the chief of military in South Africa's statement, but the bogus statements from various others. So in that case, I was surprised if you consider that the chief investigating officer, Dion Loots, who was the chief investigator right in the beginning of the when they start investigating the Boeramag, he testified in court under oath that it was a stage thing. They put their informants up to actually make the case and to actually train these oaks with explosives, etc. Then you see how corrupt the system is, and yes, that in that case, Judge Eben Jordan, sorry to say, you got the thumbs down from me.
From me
No
too.
justice. And a lot of the other cases, if you took my son's case, he was with the notorious KFC 6, which the press have run for 3 weeks in a row, front page, that the 6 white oaks have assaulted the black lady, and in the end they couldn't find after a year the 6th person, so they reduced it to the KFC 5, and they couldn't prove one single case against him. My son was 20 months in jail, and in that case they also choose a judge, and they chose a state prosecutor. So in these cases they go out and they choose who blow their whistle. Like you say in the Peter Tief case, they go find a prosecutor which blows their tune, and this is the same. They cannot always do it with the judge, but if they can, they will appoint a judge which is more favorable to their politics. That is the
Now, Leon, I've got a comment in the side chat here by Nicolene, who says they can't speak out because they are on parole. Keep them out of this. Now, you're not on parole, are you, Leon? You've been found not guilty.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you see, Scott, what happens is if somebody is found guilty in a case, uh, after, let's say, they get a sentence of 8 years, they might be liable for parole and 4 years.
Right.
Now, I am found innocent in this case on all charges. So I can't be out on parole if
Right.
I
Okay, we've
not
just
been
answered
found
that
guilty.
question.
But okay,
Yeah, carry on.
okay. Now you see, Scott, the problem of people outside is it doesn't matter if you've been found innocent, but if you spend time in jail, people think or see you as a criminal. Now, the problem is, especially in South Africa, they don't understand that there's a difference between a political prisoner and a criminal prisoner.
Right.
You see, I don't make what do they say? The honor skate.
The difference.
Weet, the difference, yes, they don't make a difference. So, in other words, even let's say Marius
Ah,
also helped me now.
okay,
Yeah?
Leon, I've just got
Yes.
clarification here. Nicoline's talking about
Okay.
the Buramach. Well,
Yes.
we'll sort that out obviously before we have them on. Now, okay, let's just continue. Um, this is addressed to you, Leon. How does
Yes.
the government treat political opponents or political prisoners? How were you treated in prison?
Uh, well, to tell you the truth, Scott, if I was just a normal thief or robber or hijacker, things would have been easier for me in jail. What they do is, especially these units that's of the government, they make sure that once you put in jail for a political case or so, they do make sure that everybody in jail knows that you're a right-wing person, and they make you out as a racist before you go in. And then they don't tell you when you are put in jail that you can apply to be in a single cell for protection. They put you or try to put you in a general population. So, in the hope that people will do something to you, you know.
Yeah.
So they make sure that the prison is dangerous for people like us. I am not saying that one must be scared of the prison. You must just know what to expect when you go in or arrested. So they don't make life easy for you. They make it more difficult for a normal criminal. Um, I can say that in the beginning, when I was put in jail, they were shouting in the corridors when you go to eat, and things of racial remarks from the black people against me and so on. And I felt threatened and those type of things. And in the beginning of my time in prison, um, I was treated, well, let's say they didn't give me medical treatment. I honestly believe that maybe they tried to poison me. For the first 5 months, I was sick in jail. They refused me to see a doctor or get medical care. At the point, I informed them that I'm going on a hunger strike. I also informed Marius Harding, who's on the show now, and Piet Rudolph at that stage of the situation, that they don't want to give me or they refuse me medical care or to see a doctor. So I went on a hunger strike for 3 days. Now, during that time, Marius and Piet Rudolph have sent letters out to all the embassies, to the Human Rights Commission, to the Southern Cross, and the media. So I believe that the pressure on the Department of Correctional Services at that stage was very high. So they quickly turned back and sent me for medical care. But it wouldn't have been possible if there was no people outside who supported me and put pressure on them from the outside. I wouldn't be helped in any way.
Yeah.
Medical care and so on.
Well, look, I want to just let everybody know that what you're saying is what happens in prison. Angelo Agrisi, who obviously was
Yes.
involved with Basasa, and I know Angelo. We chat from time to time, and I speak to members of his family as well. And we're going to have Angelo on a live stream when he's well enough. But
Okay.
his health was not great before he was actually put behind bars for one night after he had a court case. And he described to me how at 10 p.m., after the lights were out, someone came into his room and gave him an injection. Not something that he had asked for. It was just someone
Yes.
came and gave him an injection, and his whole body went into meltdown after that. And he has been very, very sick since then as a result of whatever was pumped into his body by this so-called doctor who literally had the authority to just come into his cell and inject him. Now, Angelo
Yeah.
Grisi is not a well guy anyway. I mean, he's on a ventilator and stuff like that. But, you know, for that to be happening in the prison system in South Africa, and what you're saying now, basically the same thing happened to you, probably something they put in your food or something like that to try and take you out. And this, I'm sure this is happening. It's part of the corrupted judicial system in South Africa.
Yeah, Scott, I just want to say I don't have proof of this, but I believe the possibility is very good that they might have put poison in my food. I know there's some inmates also doing things like that, taking light bulbs, powder and things, putting in the people's food and so on. I've heard a story of people injected who have also the fluorescent powder. So anything is possible when you're in jail. I saw people dying after the lockdown inside the cells. If somebody something happens to somebody, it might be there's some gangs in jail. If they stab a person and they shout for the wardens to come and open up because this guy is badly stabbed, it could be 4 hours, 5 hours before they could
Wow.
open the door.
Wow.
So people die in jail, and there's cover-ups on people dying in jail. That's for sure. So once you're in jail, you must be just be very wake up and look around and these things. But I don't want to scare people because we in the struggle for our people's rights and freedom.
Yeah.
We know what that it's a risk, and we mustn't be intimidated or be scared by these things. All I said, as I said earlier in the program, is that one must just you must just know what to expect. That's all.
Right. Now, I guess something I just want to clarify here is that within the Hawks, you've got a specialized unit called CATS, which is Crimes Against the State unit. Now,
Yes.
clearly, in your case, they didn't investigate. Well, they weren't interested in investigating fairly. This was just a case that they just wanted to put out there so that they can say we're actually doing something and we want the government to keep funding us. Do you think that's their motivation?
That's the truth. What Maria said in the beginning to all listeners, they got a certain budget they get each year to protect the government against threats. If there's no threat, they won't get the money. So they have to create the threat in order for them to get the same budget next year. to get the same money they can plunder from government. So I saw in my case, I saw that they won't hesitate to frame anyone just to create a threat. I believe there is no group or persons who will even take over the government because it's not necessary. They're busy sinking themselves quicker than any of us can do.
Yeah.
Scott. So I honestly believe, I can't say about the Manghang case, but what I can say is I saw the same line of their way of doing with the Burma people, and they did with me. Unfortunately for the guys in the Burma case, all odds were against them. The pressure of the propaganda of the media, everything was aligned for the state, the prosecutor. The whole system was against them. And unfortunately, the court took the lies of the same unit and crime intelligence and the police, and they were sent to prison. In my case, luckily, they made a lot of flaws which I showed out, where they tried to frame me solid. I could prove that they're busy lying. So I've won my case, not on technical grounds, but on facts. I won my case not on just the technical points, but I won my case on facts that they were busy framing me.
Yeah. Now, look, I just want to get back to the court system, but before I do, I just want to make a point to people who are watching. We've got about 300 people watching at the moment. Now, the point I want to make, and this is a fact, is that Julius Malema, who we spoke about at the very start, where Leon was going to be testifying against Malema, and that's when the shit happened in 2010. But Julius Malema, who often in rallies sings the song "Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer," and they go "ba ba 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 ba." You know it's clearly aimed at causing racial division. He is one of the commissioners who is involved in choosing judges in South Africa. He is actually on the commission where these advocates go up when they want to become a judge, and he's one of the guys who actually says yes or no. And
that's actually shocking.
Yeah, well, I've got videos, archive videos here where Malema is actually interviewing a white fellow who wants to be a judge, and Malema's calling him a racist because he was practicing before 1994, and he said, "We're not going to appoint you because you're a bloody racist," and he was just. This is the problem. It starts from the very selection process, because you got people like Malema, who is a racist. He wants to see a genocide of the white population, who is actually actively involved in selecting judges in South Africa. It makes absolutely no sense. And I know that now they're actually coming to their senses, and they're trying to get him out of that commission, because they're saying this is wrong, based on the way this guy operates. And it only took them about 6 years to come to their senses and realize that this was happening. But now let's get to this point. How do you find the legal system and courts regarding your case? Because I've just explained to you why there's an issue with judges.
Well, Scott, this is a very interesting point to make. Or a question to ask. What I can say is, in my case, they flew people in, a person in from Angola at high cost. They went all over the country to all people who was involved with me in a legal group. They spent millions and millions. They even hired an airplane to flew over an area and taking pictures of a dam. I don't know, but on the state side, they have a free hand of money to put you in jail. But when it comes to the system where you've got a right for legal representative, you can't really choose your representative. You on a budget. they won't make copies of your docket because there's no money from the legal aid board and things like that. But on the state side, they have a free hand in millions to put you in jail, but they make it so difficult for you to defend yourself. They cut your money for a legal representative and all those things. It's all things that's against you in a case like mine.
Yeah, well, I know with Vicky Momberg, that's exactly what she faced. You know, the media kept on saying, oh, she keeps on firing her legal representative. And she had a very good reason to, because the legal representative was not doing their job. But of course, that wasn't actually said in the media. The media was suggesting that she was a Fruit Loop and, you know, she kept on firing people because she couldn't work with them. This is how the mainstream media are completely fabricating stuff. Yeah. Look, I have a gripe with a few of the main media in South Africa, and thankfully, because I'm in Australia, they can take my middle finger if they've got a problem. In fact, I've got a better idea. For those media who are watching right now, let me tell you what you guys can do. You can go and pog my horn. Okay? You can go and pog my horn. And if you don't know what that means, go and look it up.
Listen, Scott, I just wanted to add something. You see, the problem is, in the beginning, they gave me a lawyer from the legal aid board. First thing when he come to see me, he said, what plea bargain must we make? You know, as if I'm guilty.
Oh, jeez.
So the problem is with all of these state lawyers is that the moment they see you, they are coming to see you in the point that you are guilty. In other words, all they want to do is for you to plead guilty, and they go on to the next case. You see, so the problem is with this kind of attitude is that you know that guy is not going to defend you as he should in court. So I had to fight them because of my right to have good legal representation. And through judicial, they did give me the advocate, Nico Robenheimer, which I was glad because he came to me and he believed that I was innocent when he saw the docket and he saw or he saw my case. So he defended me.
Did you say yes? Oppenheimer came and represented
No. Nico Robenheimer.
Oh, Robenheimer. Okay.
Robenheimer. Yeah, no, not Oppenheimer. Yeah. I would have run away.
No, there's actually.
I'd rather defend it myself.
Okay, carry on.
Anyway, and I think he did it excellently, but maybe slowly and systematically. But he followed my instructions, and we won the case. Yeah. So but your normal legal aid board lawyers don't want to fight the case and found you innocent if you're innocent. They just want you to make a plea bargain with the state. I mean, Marius?
Marius, is something you'd like to
add? Can I cut in here? I want to tell the public who's viewing this. Firstly, I want to tell the judges who might look at this. History is a live thing. And be careful how your great-grandchildren will view you. And the same for this corrupt policeman. Remember, we will have our own Boer Republic again. And we will write the history as it was truthfully done. And what you are about to get involved with will be recorded, and your great-grandchildren will read about the corrupt forefather they had. Whether you're a judge, a state prosecutor, and this is my message to them. My message to the listeners is, look what happened to Leon, and think about this. And I'm talking to the dozens of people who's getting grouped together and starting, let's say, political activist groups or paramilitary groups, whatever they're busy with doing. My plea is have a proper budget, gather money, because in a case like Leon, uh, we didn't have any cent. We didn't have contributors. So we could only do what two people can do. And Leon can tell you how important it is to have somebody on the outside. And if we can establish an organization that actually manage their money properly and have a bit of money set aside for legal fees, because in the justice system, the person who's accused may actually use a lawyer of his choice, but they don't put it to him like that, and they don't enforce that. One must have somebody to fight for that on the outside, because Leon can tell you how difficult it is to get anything done inside. You can get nothing done from inside. You need people outside, and therefore you need a public support system, and we're going to need it more and more. There's already a number of cases which we can make a list of over the last couple of years, but this will definitely intensify over the time coming. And if you're not part of a group, let's say, for instance, the Steve Hofmeyer's Toekomsfonds or something like that. If you're part of that, and that organization have a budget for legal fees, then you're in the right direction. So my plea to all the people who's having these organizations, have a fund which you actually put money aside to help the helpless when they in jail, because Leon had a good job when he got arrested. He don't but he didn't have a support system. The moment when he's in jail, his employer doesn't want to hear from him. His money is get cut. He cannot pay the rent anymore, so his family is in dire straits. Or in a case where you have a bond, you cannot pay a bond, etc., etc. So the financial pressure is on the one side, which breaking you down. You need to form a group. You need to form a group sensibly where people contribute for this kind of thing. And the time has come now when it's more important than anywhere in our history that we have activist groups which is actually not just playing, but taking money from people and use that money to support our people when they need support.
Right. Now, I just want to respond to one of the comments in the side chat here. Richard Young has said, Scott, with all your archives, you should have a wealth of info for a book. Well, we're actually going to be doing better than that, Richard. What we've actually got are over 7,000 videos, which go back years now, about what is happening in South Africa. And on our new platform, lovinglifetv.com, they'll be searchable by date, by keyword. We'll have playlists, which are basically videos which have the same subject. And it'll be an awesome archive that people can use for research and stuff like that. And I'm encouraging everybody who's watching right now. I see that we've got 10 guests watching through lovinglifetv.com at the moment, but the main audience is actually on YouTube. But I'm encouraging those guests and people on YouTube to go to lovinglifetv.com, register there, because it's going to be a huge platform where we will not be censored by YouTube. Now, okay, I'm sorry about that diversion. Let's get back to the subject here. Leon, you did take legal action after you were found not guilty. And you were found, well, when you were found innocent on all charges, I should say. What do you think will be your chances of succeeding in this matter?
Well, Scott, I believe that I will get something out of it. I don't believe maybe all of it. It depends on if the state is bankrupt or not, you know.
Mm.
But what happens is the same as during any case. Uh, okay, this is a civil suit against him. They'll drag it out as long as they can in the hope that this thing will just die away. Or I might die of COVID or something. But on the end, they say the piper will pay. But what Marius have said, just to come back quickly there, is that once a person is arrested on something like mine, they destroy your whole life basically,
Yeah.
your finances. As I say, as Maria said, I had a good job with a good salary and everything, and they even goes to your employer and tells him, "Listen, this guy was arrested on the Terrorism Act."
Jeez.
So what does an employer do? He distances himself from you. You
Yeah.
know, it's the first thing he'll do because he thinks of his business first. What bad propaganda is it? You know, to be
Mm.
connected to this guy. So first off, they destroy your what you had. After a year in prison, my wife filed for divorce. I lost my family. I lost everything. You know, and that's part of the strategy. Is actually to take everything away from you to break
Destroy
you.
you.
You know, yes, to destroy you. So, as Mario said, one must have a support system. You know, people who stand behind you,
Yeah.
like Mario, Pete, my sister, and other people who came to visit me in jail. You know, that moral support. It's not always about the financial support only.
Yeah.
It's a moral support that's counting. You know, and then you must also find that once you declared a terrorist, friends you had for years just turn their back on you,
They're scared that
because
they
now they
might be
believe.
associated with it.
Yes, and most of the people believe the mainstream media. It's we all know
It's about
is
time they
just
woke up.
yeah, they just uh, um, sending out false things for to sell their newspapers or to sell their things and make money. So they're not really want the truth. But let me come back to this thing that you've asked me if I think I will be able to
Get
win or
compensation.
yes. I believe I will get it. It all depends on a matter of time. But the government knows that they've buggered up in my case. And I would tell people, mostly who get in a case like this, the problem is that at the stage when they see they don't have a case, they'll come to you and offer you to plea bargain with them, to plead guilty on a lesser charge, and then you walk. But if you plead guilty on any charge, you're not liable to sue the state. You won't be able to sue the state. So I would say is fight it until the end, because a lot of people plead guilty just to get out of jail. Eh? But it won't clear your name. It will just say that you submitted to a false charge of the government.
Yeah.
Uh, that's it, Scott.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, we'll watch that with interest. I mean, if you win your case and you come out with 69.8 million rand, that'll well, look, 4 years behind bars is uh, especially when you're an innocent party, is just ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
if you were in the US, they would pay you $100 million. I'm serious, and that's
Yeah, for
US dollars.
sure. But yeah, but they've got the money. This government is bankrupt. They've stolen all the
It's
money.
morally
So
bankrupt, that's for sure.
yes,
Absolutely
for
morally
sure, Scott.
bankrupt. Marius, do you want to add to this?
Um, No, Scott, what I would say is I would be very thankful if the government do give Leon the 70 bar, because we as right-wingers need that. And I know Leon's
Yeah,
heart
no,
have a lot of money to really fight the bastards if Leon gets that money. So please, everybody, all times up, write letters to government, say, please pay out Leon the real
yes,
need the money to have a fight. And so for me, I don't have any doubts that they need to pay him, and I think they will definitely, they cannot get away from it. I consider the amount of money a little bit short, but let's see how that goes. And I know Leon, if you know a good boer which is in this fight for the long run, it's Leon. I know Leon for many, many years. I love him. He's a good mate and somebody who I can count on fight. So if he can get the money, good. And I know we will fight the bastards with their own money.
Now, do you guys know,
sure.
you must have heard of the Boer folk, the new movement, which is the emancipation of the Boers, where they're now basically saying we're not part of the South African government. You actually signed a declaration. They've got their own common law court process, which is completely outside the jurisdiction of the South African justice system. Have you been following that at all?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, both of you.
Yeah, well, if I can respond quickly on that, I consider that unfortunately as total bogus, because I will personally go to the jail and visit everybody I can see and give them the form to sign, and I want to see one person walking out of there, which the South African government honor that, because the theory is light years away from the reality.
Well, let's wait and see what happens. But I asked the question: have you guys heard? You've obviously heard about it, Marius. Have you heard about it, Leon?
Yes, I did hear about it, but I'm a bit skeptical, like Marius,
Yeah.
if it will be, if it can be implemented practically.
Yeah. Well, let's
That's
see what
the,
happens. Let's see what happens. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up this live stream shortly, Leon. But what
yes.
is your vision for South Africa in the future?
Well, Scott, if one is in South Africa, things looks dark, you know, literally, because Eskom is cutting a power. But I know we're going to, things is going to get worse than it's now. For sure, unfortunately, they can't run a country. It's even worse than a banana republic on the moment.
Well, they couldn't find a bun in a bakery.
Yes, of course not. But, you know, for most white people in South Africa on the moment, Scott, things looks dark. They're very negative.
Yeah.
You see, me and Maria spoke about it. You know, almost all the groups is running the people, driving them on fear. You know, and we mustn't drive people on fear. I know we're going into dark times now, and things is going to get worse, and it might even come a revolution in the country because the internal fights of the ANC and the EFF and those guys. But I want people to know that we must look at a time after this. We must drive people on a positive, give them hope. You know, Scott, give them hope. We'll always keep on fighting for our people's rights and freedom. Me and Marius and the other guys is doing the same as us. And I just want our people to know that we must keep on believing in our Heavenly Father, and we must still fight a fight, because if we don't, nobody else is going to fight a fight. So hope. Look after the dark times coming. Look at our future. I believe that we've got a place and we're going to be free people again as the Boers. And I keep on fighting for that, Scott.
Yeah.
And I believe Mares will do the same, and the other guys will do the same, who's doing the things we're doing, and so on. And your show is a great show where people can still receive the truth, you know, and
Yeah.
not the lies that's out there in other media and so on.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Marius, is there something you'd like to say about what do you see in the future in South Africa?
I see the fear clear flag waving over the Boer Republic. That is as it will happen. Scott and listeners, there is no way ever these oaks can run. You have just said they cannot find a bun in a bakery. It's a um, kunstmatig. You know, it's not a
Synthetic.
truthful power position which they are in, and they cannot maintain it. What is about to happen is that the dog is going to bite its handler. The handler is the oaks who's every day mining our minerals by the millions of dollars a day, and this ANC and their cadres haven't got anything more to steal. They've stealed Eskom dry. They steal the SAL dry. Every single penny they've sucked out like parasites. And now there's money left. That money is the mines. They're going to expropriate without compensation. They're going to take past its mines, and then these are sent in the big guns from anywhere in the world to take them out. And we're going to, at that point, hopefully, our bulls have moved closer to each other. And then we're not talking about small things. We take our republic back. And this is how I honestly see the future. And that is where I've set my goals. And that is where I'm going.
Well, I've got to say that when you smoke your pipe, you look just like Paul Kruger. So that should send a message to people.
Yeah.
Now, I want to support what you're both saying because, you know, the Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum always talks about the great reset as a result of the lockdown. I see the great opportunity for the adults in the room to reclaim South Africa because
Yes.
at the moment the kids are in the classroom running the place, and this is why it's a complete mess. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I'm with you there, Scott.
Okay, and you, Marius?
Look, Scott, I am speaking to a number of traditional leaders of other race groups, which I advocate to them to claim up their land separately from us, because they can do that. And once the ANC is dissolving, the time is on the table for everybody to take his part. Now,
Yeah.
we never want to. We don't long back to South Africa where people don't have rights. We want as Boers for ourselves what we honestly want for other people as well. So I'm advocating that the Zulus man up to the event and say, no more South Africa for us. Our Zulu kingdom, our land is our land. This is the territory, and we manage it ourselves. And that is the same for the Vendas, the same for the Pagatlas, for every other group in South Africa. I want them to have their land and to manage it. And I don't care if they manage it good, bad, corrupt, whatever. But that is my plea, that they stand up and spoke up and man up to the event, that they the leaders of their people. And for their people, it's not good to be part of South Africa. So we should sit around the table with them. I am very angry if I hear right-wing people go to Europe and say, come and help us and this and that, but we do not speak to our neighbors. And I am speaking to my neighbors. But yeah, I can see that they can they also want their land. They also want to be free to be back in their traditions without being told you're a lesser person because you don't wear the right clothing, etc., etc. They were happy for thousands of years the way they were before the judgmental people came in and tried to change them. And I don't want to change anybody. And I expect that people view us Bulls as fair people who wants the same for ourselves than for anybody else. But yeah, Scott, on the subject at hand, we will move forward in a darker time, but we will move forward with a heartbeat, knowing what end we're working at. So in the time when Leon sat in jail, I looked through that window with a tear in my eye and tell him, listen, but time will come when this will be over. You will be written up in history as a fighter for our cause, and stay in there. We're going to see the clear flag waving, and that is my message to everyone who actually have it in them to have a better future for their unborn offspring, and for that unborn offspring betterness, we should actually stand up and get actively involved, because our biggest problem is not the government. Our biggest problem in this fight is inactive moaners. If I get to people, I listen to them and they moan, oh, there's potholes and this government cannot manage the SAL, and this government cannot manage ESCOM. And I laugh, and they don't understand why I laugh, because I'm happy when my enemy is cocking it up. So I'm happy when ESCOM is not working. I'm happy when there's potholes I can see they don't manage. Imagine what chances we would have as Bulls to be free if the ANC managed properly and fixed the potholes and had electricity. Then nobody would have listened to my plea that we need to be free as Bulls and have our own republic. So I'm very glad things is turning darker. The office is on the table. Everybody who sat in jail, like Leon, like a lot of friends of mine, people tease me and say, hey, Marius, where's all your buddies? They're all in jail. But it's true buddies. And I respect everyone who is part in this fight and taking the risk to actually be seen as an enemy of the state. But like I say, our future is bright, so we all do this in good faith.
Absolutely. Now, Leon, is there something you'd like to say in closing?
Yes. Edmund Burke said, for evil to prevail, a good man must do nothing.
Yes.
Now, the problem is there's a lot of us, not a lot, I think there's not so many of us who's openly fighting the injustice and for our freedom of our people. And the problem is that most of the people want to sit on the fence and just, discredit you when you make a mistake. But they are not part of the game. They just want you to do all the dirty work and fight for them.
Right.
It's time, Scott, that our people must take hands as brothers and sisters and stand together again for our future and the future of our children. So if we stay divided, Scott, we're gonna have a big struggle, and I think we'll lose it if we can't take hands now and stand to. Yes, that's correct. So I think it's time now, not to form more groups and organizations, but to stand together as one nation again. And then we'll be a power to be reckoned with.
Right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Leon, please keep us in the loop as to what happens in the future. And Marius,
I'll definitely do, Scott.
And Marius, thank you so much for introducing Leon to us. I'm going to end this live stream with a beautiful song written by our resident musician. And what prompted me was a message in the side chat by Marius, where he says, "Hier bly ek boer," and that's the name of the song. Now, I'm going to play the song while you two guys are here. You probably won't hear it, but you'll be able to listen to it later. But everybody else here will be able to hear it. So I'll tell you when it's finished. So here we go.
Meer as 61 duisend van ons voorvaders het op die grens vir ons gesterwe, sodat ons vry kan wees. Die is my land, die is my reg, hier is ek boer. Van stof is ek gemaak en sal ek terugkeer. Die Bybel is die woord waaruit ek leer, soos die grond op die aarde. Hier bly ek boer. Soos diep in die nag sal die vyand kom, maar hier bly ek staan en ek draai nie om, want jy maak my nie bang nie. Hier bly ek boer. Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my zweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoor wat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voer. Hier bly ek boer. Soos asem in die somer wat vreugde bring. My oupa wat maniekie kon sing, soos hy stap deur die lande. Hier was hy boer. My wortels lê diep in die grond geplant. Hy sien soos my pa, los ek vir jou die land, en jy hoef nie te vrees nie. Hier sal jy boer. My land waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my zweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoor wat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voer. Hier bly ek boer. Die sal kom. Die leeu sal kom, 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 die leeu sal kom. Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. En die is my bloed, my zweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoor wat ek jou sê.
guys, there you had it. That beautiful song here, Bly Boer. Now, let me just get our guests on just so I can say goodbye to them. Marius and Leon, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And look, as I said just now, anytime, just contact Marlena and we'll set up another live stream if there's something happening you'd like us to cover. But yeah, in the meantime, please be safe. And thank you once again for joining us.
Bye now. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you. Good night, all the listeners.
Okay, tot ziens. see you guys soon. Bye. Okay, guys, now that was Leon Kokomoor and Marius Harding. Obviously, we were talking about how totally unjust the justice system in South Africa is. I just want to thank the moderators for looking after the side chat and doing such a great job as always. And for everybody else who's joined us tonight, thank you for joining us tonight. And please subscribe to Loving Life on YouTube. And if you're a guest watching this on lovinglifetv.com, please register there because this lovinglifetv.com platform is going to be huge. It's already got forums, it's got contributing channels. We've got 17 YouTube channels already involved in lovinglifetv.com. You can go to contributing channels at the top, click on that, and you'll see them. And you know, these are updated as they put up videos, all with a focus on South Africa. We got some big things happening in the future. And if you don't register, you won't know what's going on, because soon we're going to be sending out daily emails with updates and information. We plan to be, or our intention is to be, the largest news source online covering South Africa. And I'm going to now wrap up the live stream. And please, for those who just want to chat for a little while, I'll leave the side chat open. But have a great evening. And don't forget, 8 p.m. tomorrow night, Johannesburg time, like most nights, we have another live stream happening. Bye for now.